Now, before I start, I have to recommend a video specifically for Shonen Eiji that he did a video that I wanted to do automatically when I actually seen it. The one is called "What Adult Jokes Ruin Modern Shows," comparing to basically Hazbin Hotel and Hello Boss versus Panty Stocking, because one is actually considered a good show, the other considered as cringy. What is that? And they actually break down pretty well, but the only problem is the fact it needed more conversation. Is that I basically I'm saying I agree the whole video, 90% of it, but the only problem is this sort of interesting thing about it is that it's more to it. This sort of such a matter why people don't really understand the difference of basically Panty Stocking and Hazbin Hotel or Hella Balls is the fact is how they use the medium of adult comedy or adult cartoons, because it's a very thin line. How thin? People get confused what it make adult cartoon work or what doesn't work. I think one of the biggest examples is basically comparing two different shows, specifically basically Family Guy and Teen Titans Go. Sounds weird when the first time I actually heard that, but when they breaking down, it sort of makes sense why people misunderstand to do an adult cartoon show. Because if you break down Family Guy, give it a little sex, violence, and drugs, and politics, it becomes basically Teen Titans Go. And ironically, that makes sense because that's the major problem. Because every time someone who want to rip up Family Guy, South Park, or something similar to basically has been a hotel or basically Hell of the Boss, they want to do all the dirty jokes, all the cussing, or maybe some of the politics, but never really sit down and explain it. In fact, as a viewer, someone online said it better. It's the fact has to be on and Hello Boss. You want to take serious, but the only problem is all the jokes are just so kind of not settled right. It just cusses for the joke, but don't understand what the joke lands or what doesn't land. It doesn't let you breathe or understand the sentence it's trying to say. To compare to Panty Stocking, who does the same thing, but the only problem is Panty Stocking is more do not take us serious. We are completely dumbasses. The reason why is because they're more chillax. They do cuss, but they cuss very little. They only think when they need to say it to emphasize the one they're trying to say. In other words, every time they talk or set up a joke, they know they need to give meaning to that joke to be more relatable and put off the topic matter they're trying to say. And that's why it works so well. It sort of realized that over the seasons, because let's face it, Panty Stocking only has 2 seasons, and you compare back to back, you will notice season 1 of Panty Stocking is very on the nose, very creative, but they do cost a little bit more. On season 2, they reverse that. They actually slow down the cussing and make it minimum because they know cussing is not the funny part, it's how you use the context of that cussing to make it work. One of the big examples has been Hotel, specifically the character Husk. When you hear him first time watching the first episode, he has to have a cussing non-stop, but never give you the breather. In fact, every time he cuss, it kind of diminish his sort of angry bitterness. Even that the actor trying to perform his best, the sentence and they wrote up to make it more kind of grumpy fails completely. It feels trying too hard. And that's just one character. The rest of the cast is something similar. The only two kind of decent, well written characters, if you want to debate me or not, is basically Charlie and Alistair. The only two who actually restrain themselves to not to cuss, because when they cuss has actually meaning, but it also kind of out of pocket or set up a good joke when they had to emphasize how they're feeling. But the only problem is, even they're actually the most well handled, they sort of found the ball. One of the big examples, Charlie, that she supposed to be a Disney princess, kind, sweet. When she has to cuss, it feels out of pocket, and not in a good way. It feels something that it doesn't feel right for the character. If she wants to cuss, she has to lose it completely on the edge and finally cuss. In that point, it makes sense. In fact, it could be really funny if she loses something meaningless. And that's what I mean. You feel the cuss will actually give a character more meaning. If you give it a cuss for no apparent reason, it lost its meaning completely. That's the good comparison to a Panty Stocking. All the characters do cuss, but the only problem is they only cuss when you think you need to, because they overdo it. You do not take them serious. You don't care about the comedy they're trying to say, because they need to cuss. They cuss it in a way that it makes sense of the character. It's all about the setup of the joke, and the joke where it fits the character to lend the punchline of that sort of joke or cuss joke to make it work. That's the difference of basically Panty Stocking and Hell of a Boss or Hazbin Hotel, because that's one of the biggest lines of both of them. Why it's successful and one is a failure, leads to fans who like adult comedies. Now, before I continue on, my name is Rachel. I like to talk about animation, not just animation, through reviews, first impressions, cartoon theories, or sometimes, if I have some spare time, cartoon breaking news. Of course, you like how it's going, like to help my channel, put a like, comment, and subscribe, and that's basically it. If not, that's fine. If you do, thank you, because I'm getting close to my main goal of 2,000 subscribers. And yes, I'm getting close every single day because of people like you. People put like, comment, and share. Thank you. Now let's break down of this sort of comparison, why the reason why people think Hazbin Hotel is sort of cringy comedy compared to Panty Stocking, who be more superior comedy, how they actually write their jokes and how make adult cartoon actually work. Now, one of the biggest things both show does is clear the fineness how they represent the comedy in how to write a whole show, because Hazbin Hotel or Hell of a Boss want you to take them serious, want you to care about the characters and that sort of situation. But the only problem is the whole show, both of them, are written in a way almost feels like old sitcoms. They don't really think about it. It just sort of kind of reset every single episode. Kinda, they do linger here or there, but they actually don't take it as seriously. When they want you to take seriously, it's sort of hard to, because you kind of diminish whatever subject matter you want to take serious. It kind of falls apart because how you handle the subject matter. For example, you have Angel for Hell of a Boss, who kind of stuck in a contract, who be an adult film, but also kind of addicted to drugs, to basically his own boss. But you have Oscar attempted to help him, but the only problem is they really don't solve the problem. They just sort of, oh well, you're screwed, let's move on. And that's the thing, they don't add the sort of patch notes like, look, I can help you, but give me more time. Something like those sort of that complete sentence. Just give me more time. I can figure it out. I can help you, or you let me, or we talk about this later on. That sort of phrasing or sort of sentence they put on, they actually help more the characters to take it more serious. It's something so big they can handle right now. You need a 2, 4, or 3 episodes to figure it out. But that episode come out in the near future for next season. And this is the issue why they have this sort of problem. People taking serious of Hell of a Boss because he doesn't want to take it serious, but at the same time it does. On top of this, the comedies, the jokes, it just sort of feel out of place sometimes. But I have to say, it kind of works if you don't take it as serious. Take it as sort of a musical sort of approach. And that's the approach they took it. And I think this is the reason why a lot of people ran with it. They enjoyed that sort of type of humor, or the sort of musical but not take it serious. We're not sure where we are, but we get their sort of type of vibe. And I think this is the reason why it works to some people. To compare to Panty Stocking, it's a little different because at the very beginning I told you this is a show they automatically tell you do not take it serious, even that they have a point in every single episode. In fact, Panty Stocking is sort of the perfect representation of a Japanese version of Family Guy, in other words, or this case, drawn together. Because if you don't know, Panty Stocking was aspired drawn together. Because drawn together is exactly the same show of what you see of Panty Stockings. They just sort of a bunch of group of people or attempted to do something. The only difference is drawn together is sort of a rom-com, not a rom-com, a mockumentary about people living in the house, and Panty Stocking is sort of a mockumentary of people trying to save their souls. And that's the only difference, because they do basically the same thing. They actually allowed you to understand the character, the situation, the why they kind of need to do this, but they don't want to. They do not take it serious, but they show you all the messed up things of their world and how they actually handle it. Because they have this sort of all the way of doing television. They give you beginning, middle, and end. Whatever problem happens in that episode, that specific episode, they will end it perfectly. They just, oh, you have slavery? Oh, simple. We just kill everybody who actually do slaveries. So media are trying to change their news outlet to convince you to do evil things that beat the crap out of them. That's the solution. Once again, they give you answers, but once more, it's sort of idiotic answers that is kind of hilarious, but it kind of makes sense of the context and the creativity of that world. Even that every single episode is just sort of very vibe, artistic weirdness that, yeah, we want to kill demons, but we do a striptease to transform, but also find out why they doing it and blow them up a very creative way. And that's basically the whole series. Every single episode, you don't need to even follow episode order. You could completely follow it in a random and still get what they're trying to say. And that's the thing that makes them so strong, because they're not worried about giving you something, a big dramatic story. They worry about if the joke lands. They listen to how they say it and how they approach it work for that character. And that's what it make it improvable. That's why it works so well. Especially the creators want to up themselves every single episode, trying to figure out a very funny joke of a sex joke that is creative enough to make it work, make it more like out of pocket type of joke, and it actually works super well. Compared to Hello Boss and Hazbin Hotel, they just relied on the cuss jokes. Of course, they wanted to take it serious, but it's sort of hard to take it serious, and you keep relying on all that specific joke. I kind of wish they actually experiment of the comedy, start not relying on the same jokes. And you see what I mean, what's going on here? This is the sort of issue making an adult comedy show. We want people to laugh. You need to experiment. Look at Family Guy. Family Guy, whatever you think of it, if you think the show becomes zombified, that's fine. But every time they see a joke of that, even the modern seasons they have, some of them are very creative because they try to figure out a very funny joke under 10 seconds, but it works for that maybe specific character, but yet they still land it. Even that you don't care about Family Guy, you have to admit, when it's funny because they thought out of the pocket to make the joke work, not relying on the same joke again and again. That's what the difference of Panty Stockings and Hello the Boss is, the fact they're more creative how you do the joke, and also how they take their own set of topics. Because let's face it, adult comedies have a habit of they want to talk about heavy stuff, but they sometimes don't know how to do it, or they have limited time. It's sort of the difficult thing to pull off if you know what you're actually doing. But once more, it's all about understanding your characters, what type of genre, and how you execute it. I don't know how you felt about this. Do you think I'm on the money or I'm a little off? Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Just thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.